Hello my fellow oddities and welcome to a new video. Today, yes, you read the title correctly, I have finally seen Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind and Mortal Kombat Legends Cage Match, and I'm going to be doing a review of both movies in this one video. Now, if you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you will know that my history with these movies has not been very positive. I thought Scorpion's Revenge was absolutely mid, and then Battle of the Realms was announced, which I wasn't that excited about, and you can hear about that in my first ever YouTube video I ever did, so fun fact there. And the movie, even though I wasn't excited for it, still really disappointed me because it was awful. I hated every second of it, and it felt like an insult to me as a Mortal Kombat fan. So in the future, going forward, I wasn't really too excited for these movies. And so when Snowblind was announced, I looked at it, I was like, maybe I'll watch it just because I have to watch everything Mortal Kombat related, right? But then I saw the trailers and stuff, and everything just seemed like a huge turnoff for me. The animation style changed. The plot was basically nothing like, even just beyond the first two Legends movies, it felt like nothing to do with Mortal Kombat at all. It felt like a complete overhaul of the series where there was this wasteland and it felt like post-apocalyptic. There was an old man, Kuai Liang, and like Mad Max style Black Dragon, and everything just, it was just a big turnoff for me, and I had no interest in watching it. So I didn't, and I made a whole video about it. And then Cage Match was released last year, and I didn't watch it either, because I just wasn't that interested in it. The trailer, I watched live reaction, didn't really react to anything in the trailer of note, because I just wasn't that interested in these movies, and so I never got around to watching these last two, Snowblind and Cage Match, until today. I've finally seen both movies, so I'm going to be doing a review of both of them. So let's start off with the first one. Alright, this is the one that probably more people are interested in because, for one, this movie is very different from anything Mortal Kombat, and also, it's the one that I complained about the most before it released and before I actually saw it. So, Snowblind. Does it exceed expectations? Does it meet them? Or was it worse than I expected it to be? I don't know. Honestly. Like, my expectations for this movie were not for it to be disrespectful, alright? I didn't think it would be like Battle of the Realms level disrespectful. I just thought it was going to try and do its own weird thing, and I wasn't really going to be a fan of it. And to a certain extent, that is true. I couldn't really get invested in this movie because it was just so detracted from Mortal Kombat. But also, my expectations don't really matter because I just didn't really feel anything towards this movie. This just felt like a huge nothing burger. Like, I have no real opinion on it. And part of that is because, like I said, probably not really my thing. And so I just don't really care to form an opinion on it. But at the same time, it's still Mortal Kombat, so it is still kind of weird. I'll start off with something tangible first. The animation, huge nosedive. I don't know what happened. Scorpion's Revenge was peak Mortal Kombat animation. Battle of the Realms, a little bit worse. Not anything super terrible though, but you could tell, I don't know if there was like a budget cut or something, but you could tell not as good as Scorpion's Revenge. But then this movie, it just plummets. It just plummets. And the opening of the movie was so distracting because of the way that the scene or the animation just fits and how the characters fit into the background. Well, the problem is that they don't fit into the background. Everyone looks pasted on there, and they all feel 2D. It doesn't feel like there's any sort of depth, especially when they try and use CGI backgrounds and then paste the 2D characters onto them, and it just looks super funky and super weird, and I really don't know what reason they had to change it from what they had in the first two Legends movies. They didn't really have a reason. I think the only reason that they would have changed the animation, or a good reason they would have changed the animation, is if it fit the tone of whatever the style or whatever of the movie that they're working on. But it doesn't really fit it any better than the original style would have. So they literally just made it worse for absolutely no reason at all. So yeah, the animation, pretty bad. Another thing, I guess, sort of tied to animation is the designs. Now, the designs aren't just copy and pasted from the games anymore, which I can sort of appreciate a little. There's obviously a few designs still, I think one of Sub-Zero's designs when they're like flashing back to the past is just taken from Mortal Kombat 11. But since this movie is like so different from the games, they couldn't just copy and paste things. So a lot of it is like its own stylized way, like within the world of whatever's going on in this movie. And I really don't like the style here. Like I said, Black Dragon are all like Mad Max inspired. Some of them just have the designs from the game. Aaron Black, Ferrator, I think Drawman was there for some reason. Dairu is there for some, I don't know. It was kind of weird. But all the characters that have new designs, you know, Cabal looks pretty terrible. They tried to go for Mortal Kombat 11, but then like gave him like gray dreadlocks and stuff like that. And I was just like, well, why would you do that? Kira, Cobra, they have like this, like I said, Mad Max inspired redesigns, and it looks pretty terrible. Like their original designs, I'm not saying are good, but I wouldn't really consider this an upgrade either. And then there's characters like Kuai Liang. He's old, so I guess there's a past there, and it's not like a terrible design or anything. Obviously, I wish he would have been more Sub-Zero, but I think, yeah, right. He did kind of have a Sub-Zero design at the end of the movie. Scorpion is also there. He's like a Mortal Kombat 11 inspired Scorpion, but also has like all this crazy stuff on him. Not really a huge fan of that design either. And also King Kano, I think is a terrible design, and I guess that's another thing I can talk about kind of leading into it. King Kano, I think is kind of stupid. I don't think Kano should be the main villain of any Mortal Kombat storyline that isn't Special Forces centered. Because Kenshi and Sub-Zero and all that, all building up to fight Kano, this doesn't have the same ring as Kenshi and Sub-Zero teaming up and working together to bring down Shang Tsung, Shao Kahn, or even like Goro, or something like that. Like Kano, I don't know about that. Like, and it's also super obvious that they took inspiration from the 2021 version of Kano, because they try to make Kano like a comedian in this movie. It doesn't really work. I think it was kind of stupid. And also the whole Chronica stuff at the end. Oh, what were we doing there? Like that was just no. Like I get it. They try to do something cool with it, like being from Kano's ending from Mortal Kombat 11, and kind of being like centered or like built off of that, like the whole story of the movie. And like, you know, that's a cool idea and all, to make a movie based off of a character's ending, but the Chronica stuff, like, no. Also, I didn't like how Sub-Zero was the one to defeat King Kano in a movie that I'm pretty sure is supposed to be about Kenshi. Like, I thought he was the main character, but like all he does is like beat Tremor. Okay, like I get it. They set up in the beginning of the movie that Tremor beat him, and so he wants revenge on Tremor. The character we all know for being like the biggest, baddest Mortal Kombat character. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. That was kind of lame. And I know it seems like I'm hating right now and nitpicking, which, you know, to be fair, I kind of am. But at the same time, this movie, I don't really form too much of an opinion on. It's not like it was terrible to sit through. I didn't hate my experience with it like I did with Battle of the Realms or anything. And I guess there was stuff I liked. I liked Kenshi and his design. I guess I liked his storyline as well. It's pretty much the only storyline in this movie that's somewhat based off the games, with Shang Tsung and Sento and all that stuff. I don't really like Kenshi's personality. Like, I feel like he's a bit too, I don't know. I guess immature would be the right word. I like my Kenshi to be a bit older and a bit more wise. So if you're going to make him a main character, I would prefer it to be that version of Kenshi. If it was like Takeda or something, then I think that would be better. But obviously, it wouldn't really make sense to have Takeda before Kenshi, or introduced before Kenshi. I guess that makes sense. So they went with Kenshi instead. But I'm sure if like they had already made a movie where Kenshi was established and he has a son named Takeda, then they probably would have just used Takeda here. But yeah, there was stuff that I guess I liked about the movie. There's stuff I didn't like, but overall, I'm not too passionate about any of it, because just doesn't interest me. Like, this movie is just not my cup of tea, and that's fine. If it's other people's cups of tea, then that's fine. And, you know, there was a lot of people talking about this movie, and whether it was good, whether it was bad, if it was, like, good for Mortal Kombat or not, if these, like, Elseworld stories were representative of the series. And you know what? They're not hurting anybody, so I'm kind of fine with them. But the next movie we're going to talk about in just a moment is a bit more Mortal Kombat-y, and I think that's why I enjoyed it a bit more. So, without further ado, let's go on to Cage Match. Now, the interesting thing about this movie is that I heard basically no one talking about it, and that's really weird. Because, you know, I'm pretty active on Mortal Kombat social media and stuff, and the news and what people are thinking. And so for people to just, like, not talk about this movie at all, I mean, obviously, people talked about the movie a little bit, but for the most part, I heard basically no one saying anything about this movie. Not any reviews, not any, like, story details, plot information, or anything. For Snowblind, I mean, the whole movie got leaked, like, a month before it was a month before it released. So, you know, I knew a lot about the movie, but for this one, not a thing. Not a clue about what it was about besides just, like, the trailer and stuff. And, you know, I always thought it was weird that they had Kia and Jataka, like, clearly as main characters, and Ashura as well, and they didn't have Serena. But Serena actually is in this movie. I don't know why that's the first thing I'm talking about. And I will talk about that some more, but we should probably talk about other things first. Johnny Cage in this movie, I didn't like him that much. And it's weird because honestly, this movie actually has quite a few entertaining characters, but I feel like he's the one that just is trying to be entertaining that just isn't. Like, I like the opening scene with the Ninja Mine stuff. That was cool. But then when he starts getting into narrations, like his flashbacks, backstory, and he's trying to be funny, like, I don't know. It's just, like, the humor for me, I don't really know how to describe it. Like, I don't know. It's just not how I like my Johnny Cage. Like, I prefer him to be quick and witty and stuff like that, rather than, like, just dumb and stupid, like a freaking Peter Griffin type character. Like, that's not how I view Johnny Cage. I view Johnny Cage as, like, an MCU character or something who's able to, like, make these quick, snappy remarks, jokes, and, you know, obviously that does happen in the movie a bit, but for the most part, we're, like, laughing at Johnny about how stupid he is, or look, he got in this situation, or whatever. And I just don't really like that approach to Johnny Cage humor. Maybe that's just me. But, you know, I guess it's better than Carl Urban playing him. Am I right, guys? Yeah. Moving on from that, I mean, yeah, I already said earlier, but, like, there were a few entertaining characters in this movie. I liked Johnny Cage's assistant named Chuck. He was pretty cool. I liked Ashura. I liked, well, there wasn't actually a lot of characters other than that. But, you know, I had fun with this movie. Like, I wasn't expecting to say that, but I had fun. Now, do I really, really like it as a Mortal Kombat movie? Not really. I wouldn't put it that high on the tier list, which I just realized I should probably make an update to the tier list now that I've seen these two movies, which I will do at the end of this video. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a hater right now, but, like, I feel like I just can't rate this movie very high. Even though I had a lot of fun with it, I can't rate it very high because, you know, in terms of enjoying Mortal Kombat, there's other Mortal Kombat movies that I enjoy for being Mortal Kombat and not just because, like, I'm having a good time with them, you know? And so I feel like I wouldn't put this movie too high on the rankings. But let's not talk about that right now. Let's talk about what's actually in the movie. You know, you got some of your villains. They're not too fleshed out or anything. You know, you got Kia, you got Chitaka, you got some, like, I guess, OC villains in there. They're not really, like, complete OCs because some of them are based off of actual characters. But, you know, for the most part, they're just, like, completely new, I guess. But, you know, they're not supposed to be, like, main villains or anything, so it doesn't really matter that much. It's not like the main villain of the movie is, like, some random guy, like, Cole Young. Cole Young is the main villain of Cage Match, guys. That would actually be very interesting. I kind of want to see that now. But yeah, there was a few characters like Gilbert Gottfried's character, R.I.P., and just some other like I guess like actor characters or movie cast characters that turned out to be like demons, and that's a cool premise, I guess. I don't really know how I feel though about like this whole like demons disguising themselves as like humans. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of weird. I mean, obviously I know like characters like Serena and Kia Jitaka, they don't disguise themselves as humans. They just like prefer the human form. It's not like they're going around like pretending that they're just actual people. I don't even think they leave the Netherrealm. But you know, this whole like I don't know, like the scrolls from Marvel, like there are demons among us and stuff like that. Like I don't know. I don't really I don't really mess with that. You know, I think you know obviously the movie plot can't really happen without that being the case. So like it's not like a huge detriment to the movie or anything. It's just I don't really know how I feel about it. Also, another thing that I don't really know how to feel about is that at the end of this movie, it's kind of implied that it leads into Scorpion's revenge, because Johnny says, "Hey, I'm gonna go off to this island," and yada yada yada. But I don't really like that Johnny like goes on this huge adventure. If it is true that it's canon to Scorpion's revenge, I don't really like that Johnny's going on this huge Mortal Kombat adventure where he's already gone through his arc before Scorpion's revenge, assuming that it's connected canon, because then that kind of makes his character regress and then not go through the same arc. It's a bit of a different one, but still kind of, you know, being oblivious to the Mortal Kombat stuff going on and, you know, being like a douche again, like feels kind of weird. And I don't really like that. And yeah, there's one thing that I'm itching to talk about. It's a bit of a rant. So you know that's another extra thing to add to the title. Reviewing Mortal Kombat Snowblind and Cage Match plus rant. That's going to be a thing. I'll get to that later though. I want to talk about other things. Animation, I think it fit better for this movie. I think the style of animation it's a bit different once again from Snowblind. But I think the more Snowblindy style, like it's more similar to Snowblind style than it is to the original Legends movie style. So I think that style kind of fits this movie a bit more, like its tone, especially because they use colors much better. They use colors that stand out more than just like the browns and you know dull colors that Snowblind had. So kudos to this movie, I guess, if that's a huge accomplishment. Like I said, humor from anyone that's not Johnny Cage, pretty cool. Oh, I guess I should expand more on Ashra. I thought Ashra was done pretty well. I think honestly done better than the Mortal Kombat 1 Ashra. Obviously, we didn't really get to spend a lot of time with either version of the character, but you know, especially in terms of design and stuff, I think I like this version of Ashra a bit more. Just wish we got to spend a bit more time with her. She felt kind of pushed to the back, even though, you know, you can do a lot of really cool things with her story, and I feel like they didn't expand enough on that because these movies are like awfully short. Snowblind, I forgot to mention it in that portion of the video. Snowblind and this movie, they feel super rushed. Like, it feels like the pace is, like, at a breakneck pace. Like, I remember Snowblind just starting, and then, like, everything's happening all at once, and I'm like, whoa, okay, can I get some time to settle down here? And you don't really get time to settle down in either of these movies. The plot just keeps going and going and going and going, and it just, like, I don't know, it really just, like, kind of gives you whiplash when you're, like, I don't know, expecting a movie, but then just, like, you just get constant action and nothing else. And you know, I feel like that kind of does a disservice to the Mortal Kombat universe when their stories are not able to be fully fleshed out and the characters are not able to be fully developed, because these movies should not be an hour and 20 minutes long. These movies should be like 2 hours long. And so, you know, we need more time with these characters. That's why I think live action, the big budget type of movies, like those are what is going to be the future of this series if we don't get like a TV show or something, because the movies, they're just able to be a lot longer. The live action movies is what I'm talking about. The live action, bigger budget ones, like these animated movies, for some reason they just do not want to commit to like having a set series of movies, which could probably fix this problem. But they decide to go with like this like anthology type series thing, which, you know, is cool in concept. I like seeing these kind of Elseworlds for the Mortal Kombat universe. Like, even though it's not always my cup of tea, like I kind of like the little Elseworld storylines. I just wish they felt more intertwined with Mortal Kombat, like they could actually happen within the timeline of Mortal Kombat. Whereas these two movies, you can't really place them in the Mortal Kombat timeline just because, especially Snowblind, like the world is just so different from how it is in the games. But yeah, I'm getting off track here. But yeah, we just need more time with these movies. And yeah, so when you have these anthology series where every movie is a completely different storyline, you need to give more time for the characters. And so I just think it's kind of a disappointment that they weren't able to do that in either of these movies, because they only got like an hour and 20 minutes to tell this story, which basically features completely new world building, completely new characters, completely new yada 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 story that you have to all tell in an hour and 20 minutes, which is not enough time to do said thing. But yeah, I guess we should finally talk about the part of Cage Match that I hated the most. And that is one favorite female character in all of Mortal Kombat, Sareena. Sareena in this movie is very strange. Alright, so there's this character named Jennifer, and you don't really see her actually until the very end of the movie, but they describe her as like the most popular actress in Hollywood, and you know, she's starring in one of Johnny Cage's movies that they're filming, and basically the whole reason the plot happens is because she goes missing, and Johnny goes to her mansion to find her, and like Astra and I think it was Kia are fighting and stuff, and there's a scroll and yada yada yada. I don't need to describe the whole plot of the movie or anything, but that's basically what kickstarts the entire story of what happens in the movie. And so you don't really see Jennifer for the rest of the movie up until the very end. You know, they talk about her. They're like, oh, Jennifer's missing. This is why we need to find her. We need to do this and then do that in order to, you know, plot stuff in order to find Jennifer, because that's the end game of the movie, or that's what the end game is supposed to be for Johnny and Chuck. And well, yeah, Johnny and Chuck. Asher is not really there for Jennifer. And then the big reveal happens that Jennifer is actually a part of the Brotherhood of Shadow, and they're trying to get this scroll so they can bring back Shinnok. And I'm like, I don't really know how I feel about like there being just this OC random character that's like the mastermind behind everything in the movie so far. Like, that kind of threw me off. But then they revealed her as Sareena, and then I kind of got angry, because this is not really something Sareena would do. Sareena is not loyal to Quan Chi, to Shinnok, because like she likes them, or she genuinely believes that like what they're doing is good and stuff. She works for them because firstly, it's all she's ever known, because she was just raised in the Brotherhood of Shadow, so it's kind of hard to get out of that habit of serving someone once you've been doing it for so long. But also, scary people, powerful people, and so she feels like she kind of has to, or else. But in this movie, that is not Sareena at all. Sareena is completely 100% loyal to Shinnok in particular. I don't think Quan Chi really has any stake in this movie's plot whatsoever, and I really didn't like it. I don't like Sareena being completely 100% evil. There was no sort of sense of like, hey, she could be good if this thing happened and this thing, or she regrets anything she's done, she doesn't, or she feels remorse or anything. No, there's none of that. There's nothing that actually implies that Sareena is Sareena and how her character should be. She's not just evil demon lady like her sisters. And even then, her sisters are probably also in the same situation that she is in. It's just we don't see that because they're not very popular characters. And so I believe that Serena is just as interesting and just as has just as much potential as a character like Astra. Astra obviously is a bit more unique than Serena, but Serena still a super, super cool character. And for this movie, which, you know, generally the Legends movies, in terms of character reenactments or character adaptations, like, you know, they obviously have a few duds, but in terms of personality, they've been pretty decent with it. Like, it's never been like that's the problem with the movies. It's always been like the story and how it plays out and how certain things just go on. And that's what makes me hate stuff like Battle of the Realms and stuff. But for them to get this character just so fundamentally wrong, just like really made me angry. Bihan and Serena, like that's the pairing, that's the couple. All right. And so for this movie, who take one of the characters in that couple, in that pairing, all right, that I love so much, like those two characters, yeah. For them to take this character, firstly, give her a whack design with the curly brown hair, and then also completely just like dismantle her character and make her someone she's not. It really made me angry. And, it almost, this movie, like, that's the only thing that, like, kind of compares to, like, Battle of the Realms, you know? Like, in terms of hate. Like, even Snowblind. Like, I didn't like Snowblind as much as I liked this movie, but at least Snowblind didn't make me feel, didn't light that fire in my heart, in the pit of my stomach. It just makes me want to beat the writers of this movie up or something. I don't know. I don't really want to beat them up, but I'm just saying I'm mad. All right. Also, another thing that made me mad is that they one of the what was it? Oh yeah, the Johnny. He said his agent. He was trying to come up with a fake name for his agent because he didn't want to say his real agent's name, and they called him, or he called the agent, the fake agent name, Dominic Boone. All right, the Boone part I'm cool with, obviously Ed Boone, but Dominic, they had the perfect chance to mention John Tobias, the co-creator of Mortal Kombat. Instead, they go with the Dominic, the guy that writes the Mortal Kombat, the most recent Mortal Kombat games. Like, no disrespect to him. All right, I don't mind the stories of their most recent Mortal Kombat games. Are they disappointing? Yeah, in my opinion, they were. Mortal Kombat 1 in particular kind of disappointed me near that latter half. But, I have no ill feelings towards the guy, but come on. You should have mentioned John Tobias. Or not mentioned him, but had him be a part of it. Alright? Just like how the 2021 movie did with Eddie Tobias. Alright? That's way better. That's way better. But instead they went with Dominic Boone. Like, it's just stupid. Alright? I really don't like that. But yeah. It's weird that the movie that I like less has less stuff in it that I hate than the movie that I like more. Is that weird? It's probably weird. But we should put these on a tier list, shall we? Alright, here is the tier list. These are my opinions for all of the Mortal Kombat movies, where they should be. 2021 is the best one, and isn't great. Not perfect, but great. 1995, very, very close second. I believe they're pretty much equal in terms of how good they are as Mortal Kombat movies. They both have their flaws. They both have stuff that's really good. But I think 2021 is slightly better. Scorpion's Revenge, as I've been saying throughout the video, pretty mid. Annihilation, Journey Begins, they're bad, but, Battle of the Realms, like, gets on my nerves to a whole nother level. So I just had to specify that, hey, this is below these movies, because I have a certain hatred in my heart whenever I watch Battle of the Realms, which I've only watched once. But, that wasn't a good experience. But now we have Snowblind. Where shall Snowblind go? I think it's pretty obvious if you've watched the review that I just did on it. It's going in meh. But the question is, does it go above or below Scorpion's Revenge? And I think I'm going to have to keep it below. Because with Scorpion's Revenge, at the very least, there was that Scorpion subplot. And I'll say it right now, I think the Scorpion in Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge, which should have been the main character, and the subplot shouldn't have been a subplot, should have been the main plot for a movie called Scorpion's Revenge. But I digress. Scorpion in this movie, Hanzo Hasashi in this movie, is the greatest interpretation of Scorpion we've ever had in anything, even almost extending to the games themselves. I think this is by far the best Scorpion storyline we've ever gotten. Unfortunately, it had to be bogged down by the rest of the movie, which I didn't think was very, very good. But at the very least, I could say that I was passionate about something that came out of Scorpion's Revenge, which was Scorpion's storyline. Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind, I'm not really passionate about anything. And that doesn't make it a bad movie, that doesn't make it garbage. That just means I don't really care for it that much, and I just don't really have much to think about or say, because it's not my cup of tea. Like I said, I don't think it's bad. I didn't not have fun watching it. Well, no, I did not have fun watching it, but I didn't dislike watching it. I wasn't like having a terrible experience, but it's not really something I would ever care to watch again. So yeah, we're gonna put it in meh. Cage match, perfect. No, I'm joking. It's not gonna go in perfect, but where do I put it? Now, I'm inclined to go with meh here because, you know, in my heart, as a Mortal Kombat fan, when I watch this movie, it doesn't feel like 2021, 1995, where those feel like Mortal Kombat. It feels like it has the essence of Mortal Kombat. I don't feel like that with this movie, even though it does have more Mortal Kombat aspects than Snowblind, which I can appreciate. And, you know, for an Elseworld storyline, I think it did a better job at that. But if I'm being honest here, and I'm using the logical part of my brain, all right, which should be all of my brain, all of it is logical, of course. I don't think it goes in meh. I think it goes in decent because I did have a lot of fun watching it. And I don't think it's fair to put it in meh just because, as a Mortal Kombat fan, I'm inclined just to put it lower because, first of all, don't really like the Legends movies. But also, I just don't really feel that Mortal Kombat-y feeling you get when you watch 1995 or 2021. I just don't get that with this movie because it doesn't feel too much like how I would envision Mortal Kombat to feel like or be. But I did really enjoy watching it. Well, not really enjoy, but I did enjoy watching it. I was entertained by this movie, and so I don't think I can put it in meh. I think I have to be honest and put it in decent. And there it is. There is my updated tier list. Mortal Kombat 2, the sequel to the 2021 movie, is obviously coming out probably next year, 2025. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. And hopefully it can go in perfection, because we haven't had a Mortal Kombat movie, in my opinion, that has been perfection. But I guess we'll find out. I stole that from the Wade concept. All right. Let's do the actual outro of the video. All right. Overall, how was my experience watching the Legends movie? It's just I don't know. I feel like this experience wasn't much of an experience, really. It's just something that I did. I don't know. I just don't really feel anything different after watching these movies. I feel like nothing has changed at all. Now it's just, oh, I know what happened in those movies. Wow. Yeah. I feel like this hasn't changed or impacted me in any meaningful way. Which, not all movies have to, but when it's a Mortal Kombat movie, and my whole life basically is Mortal Kombat, that's kind of hard to do. But, that's where we are. I didn't have a bad time, but I also didn't have a lot of fun with it. It kind of just my life. There was no bumps, there was no big waves, no big downpours, just my life continues on like it would have normally. But yeah, you guys let me know how you liked or didn't like Snowblind and Cage Match, if you've even seen them. I know a lot of people didn't watch Cage Match because I didn't see anyone talking about it at all. So that kind of makes me think they're probably not going to come out with another one of these. But I thought that literally every single time one of these movies has come out. And I think, oh, they're probably not going to do another one. And then they do another one. So, we'll see. I don't know what character they would do. I don't know. But I guess we'll find out. Oh my god, I can't believe I made that joke twice. Make sure to check out the links in the description to my Twitter, my Instagram, my Mortal Kombat Retold podcast, and my merch store. Also, make sure to give this video a like so more people get to see it, and subscribe, turn the notification bell. And with that being said, that's it for this video with a lot of these. I'll see you next time.